Well, welcome back to the summer series of Illegal Curve Hockey. We're talking to Jets Moose forward Jeff Malott. Hey, Jeff, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing well. Doing well. As we were discussing before we got started, summer is coming too quickly to an end. So we're just trying to enjoy as much of it as we can. But tell maybe folks here in Manitoba how your summer has gone.
It's going well. Nice and relaxing. Really not a whole lot going on. Just hanging out with some family. Obviously in the gym and skating, and then playing a little golf when I can.
Well, okay. So, what are some of the things getting away from hockey before we get into the hockey talk that you like to get up to when you have some time off in the summer?
Definitely getting on the water. I like getting on the water. Being out on the boat or just hanging on a dock. It's where I spend the most of my time with family. Getting together is just kind of hanging out at the cottage. Other than that, catching up with friends, like I said, just playing a little golf when I can. But yeah, honestly, not a whole lot. Nothing crazy.
Okay, well, you mentioned golf, and I'm not a big golfer by any stretch of the imagination. Shout out Kildona Park, but I will say that your good buddy, of course, Morgan Barron, took part, I should say, in the Manitoba Open. So, what kind of interaction with him did you have while he was taking part in a pro event here in Manitoba?
Yeah, I texted him after the first day. He looked like he put a great round together the first day and was looking like he was going to do awesome over the weekend, and then followed it up with another great, I think mid-80s round. But we had another buddy from school who's a Manitoba native from. Where is Molly from? He's from Cartwright, Manitoba.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yep. So he came down to watch, and I was asking if he was working the bag for Morgs for the weekend, but no, he said he had a legit caddy. But yeah, it was cool. Awesome to see him. Obviously putting some great rounds together there, so it was cool to watch.
You know, when the seasons end, we have those end of season exit, interviews with you guys, and it's always tough because you're coming off of a playoff loss, and so obviously not a championship, which is what you're wanting. But so when we talk to you about it, it's still kind of fresh. But now that you've had some time to reflect on the season that was, what are your biggest takeaways from the 22-23 season?
Yeah, I mean, I guess with both playoff runs I've been a part of, ending in kind of similar fashion, Game 5 against Milwaukee, it's just, doing everything you can to establish a culture and a sense of consistency throughout the season, just so that when you get to those high stakes games, it's second nature. I mean, this year, losing out in that last 30 seconds of Game 5 in Milwaukee was pretty tough to come to terms with. But, I mean, if there is a silver lining, I think, that was a team that gained a lot of players for that playoff run, and they got a lot of guys with a lot of NHL experience. And I think for our experienced guys in that lineup, it was good to measure ourselves up against a roster like that and see that, that is a level we can play at.
Well, especially like you just said, they had a lot of guys on that Nashville run that was trying to catch the Jets for a playoff spot. And then of course that their season comes to an end in the NHL, but they've still got a chance to do some damage in the AHL. So you guys didn't get a similar infusion from the Jets. So for you to be able to kind of go toe to toe with them, and like you said, look like you were going to have a chance in that final game, says a lot about that group.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of guys put together some real good playoff games there, and we had a lot of guys step up. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's just the nature of hockey.
Yeah, and one of the things you talked about was wanting to see consistency from your game. So when you've, again, going to that idea of reflection, and when you do that, I mean, I'm presuming you do it, but I would imagine you do. But when you reflect on it, where were those areas of growth did you see in your game? And when you look back, did you see that consistency that you wanted at the beginning of the season to the end?
Yeah, I think definitely over the course of the year, it continued to grow. And I think, one thing that has always been kind of a focus of my development is, trying to not be, satisfied or, not get complacent and continue to grow. And so kind of always raising that bar, whether or not I was consistent at the beginning of the year, it's probably not the level of consistency I want to be by the end of the year. I think in terms of, personal things to focus on, I think just being able to make a difference in all scenarios of the game. I mean, at this point now, I've got a couple of years pro under my belt and played in a lot of different circumstances, and I think just rounding off my game to be able to hop in pretty much at any position that needs to be helped out at is something that I continue to focus on.
So even goalie?
Yeah, I've thrown the pads a little bit in school, but I might be a fourth call, an emergency backup. I'll be an e-bug.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. They won't make Drew McIntyre put on the pads. They'll just give you a call down the bench.
Yeah,
Jeff, one of the things we talk about with this group of Moose guys is the core group, and you've lost some of those guys this year, and probably one of the most impactful would be Cole Myers. So, how impactful will it be for this team to not have someone like Cole, who's just so good both on the ice and off of it?
yeah. I mean, Cole is going to be a major hole to fill. Like he's a guy that's a voice in the locker room every day. He's a voice of reason, and he's a motivator, and he leads by example. And he's having an awesome time in Germany right now, and bringing that skill set there. It's something we deal with every year, is filling those holes. And I mean, even a couple years ago, a guy like CJ Cease was it played a huge role in our leadership in our core group, and brought his experience to help our locker room get better. And we had to find guys to fill his position when he left, and now he's coming back to obviously bring a lot of that expertise and that experience, and that's going to be somebody who jumps in and helps fill that leadership role that Cole's leaving open. And we'll have young guys that step up every year. I mean, like in the past, we've had holes to fill, and guys like Declan Chisholm have stepped up, or guys when David Gustafson moves on, there's been other guys to hop in and help out, and we got young guys that are coming in now that'll look to do the same, and they're getting better every year. And I mean, guys with just 1 year under their belt, like we got Wyatt Bongiovanni, I'm sure he'll come in and have a great role in terms of our leadership group next year. So I think it's this kind of ever-changing and evolving kind of core that we talk about, but it's the foundation of guys welcoming guys in at such an effective rate that allows that kind of consistency to continue.
And what does it mean to get someone like CJ Cease back in the fold? I talked to him, I want to say last month, and you could see there was a lot of excitement to come back to, a team that he's very familiar with, an organization that he's very comfortable in. And what does it mean to get someone like that back? Because, like you said, he was such a good leader and a good motivator and a guy who can perform on the ice.
It's huge. I mean, not only are we getting an awesome buddy back in the locker room, we're getting a great hockey player. He's somebody who plays in all situations, and somebody who has a major impact offensively, defensively, all across the board for us. And he's somebody who knows the style of play that we like to have here, and the importance of being a great teammate that we like to focus on as well.
Well, you talked about the idea of culture, and I've talked to you, and I've talked to so many guys about that Moose culture. And again, to me, it seems like it's a really good one. I can't compare it to others because I really just focus on you guys and the Jets, obviously. But it just seems like you guys have a very unique group here in Manitoba for the last few years. But one of the things that I talked to Danny Zhilkin, who was obviously joined you guys late at the season, the Jets draft pick. I asked him about that, getting absorbed into the culture and becoming a new face in there. And one of the things he said that I thought was interesting, because I've always kind of gone on the presumption it was you guys to start. He actually said Mark Morrison took him out, and the rookies, like probably Nikita Chibrikov and Dmitry Kuzmin, out for supper. And he said he took them out for dinner and kind of gave them the lay of the land. And then, of course, they were absorbed by you guys. But that just goes to show you kind of the mindset of the culture. It's not just from the players, but it's also from the management, the guys like Mark Morrison as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like it starts from the top, and it trickles down. And when Mo sets that kind of example, it's easy to follow, and you're encouraged to follow. And we have the same meetings at the beginning of every year, and it's player led, and it's us dictating our own set of core values and our own goals and how we're going to achieve them. And yeah, Mo does a great job of kind of pointing us in the right direction and setting a great example for us to make that locker room as cohesive and just as collaborative as possible.
I told Danny I hope he took you guys to 529, but I'm not sure where exactly the destination was for them for dinner. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think it was 529. It might have been on the road. think. But yeah,
Oh, maybe it was in Milwaukee. I don't know. That's a good
I think
point.
it was.
I'm
Yeah.
not too familiar with the restaurants in Milwaukee, but that's a good point by you, Jeff. And to that idea, like again, you've been a big part of that culture, but you're kind of now one of the I'm not going to call you an elder statesman by any stretch, but you are one of the guys. So how do you feel like that you is that something that happens organically, or do you feel like a responsibility to take on that role with guys like Cole Meyer departing? And again, I'm not saying that you're with the Moose 100%, but I'm just saying if you are with the Moose, that idea that you have a responsibility to be a voice, even though we know you already are, but even more so with guys like I said, with Cole leaving.
Yeah, I think less so much of me just thinking I need to be a voice, but more so just encouraging the fact that everybody in that locker room has a voice. Like
Mhm.
we really do have, a bunch of guys that lead by example and have valued opinions and encourage younger guys to have an impact and an input as well. I mean, again, that's been the strength of our team for the last couple seasons, as long as I've been there. And when I showed up, it was the same encouragement. So I think, yeah, maybe with Cole leaving, it's not so much, filling that voice that, one guy stepping in and filling the voice that left the locker room, but more so just everybody and encouraging new guys hopping on board to make that contribution as well.
Yeah, and one of the things I didn't realize how young your group was last year. Daniel Fink, of course, play-by-play voice communications head, was talking about how young that group is. Do you feel like I mentioned you're a wily vet, even though you've got 3 pro seasons under your belt, turned 27, so happy belated birthday, 27 this month. But do you feel like that? Do you feel like you're already kind of like a veteran in this room, even though you, like you said, you've only had the 3 seasons under your belt since you left college?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Like college kind of got me into the pro game later than a lot of guys, and I think I came out like at school. It's kind of the same thing. You get to the point where in your senior year, you're expected to really bring guys along and take on a leadership role and kind of help the coaches lighten the load, and I think that's something that's just kind of stuck around in my presence in the locker room. Again, yeah, I don't think veteran by like I don't think old kind of weathered veteran by any means, but yeah, happy to use the experiences that I've been fortunate enough to have in the last couple of years and help kind of get guys up to speed maybe a little quicker or help kind of just share those experiences and ultimately get guys comfortable and acclimated as quickly as possible.
Well, one of those experiences you had not last year, but the year before was getting your first recall up to the Jets and playing your first NHL game. So, what's that like last year to go through the process and not get that chance to not play a game in the NHL? So, is that a taxing thing on you, or is it something like you try not to think about, you just let your play continue to dictate what it can on the ice?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's the end goal is get that call up and hopefully make it stick. But yeah, I think it doesn't really change how I play my game or how I approach the rink every day. You kind of make sure you're just approaching it with the same mindset of getting better every single day, and ultimately, helping the Moose do as best as possible is what's gonna reflect you know your odds of getting called up. So I think, yeah, I mean, obviously, I would have liked to get some experience and continue that development. But I think, on a silver lining is it allowed me to have, a massive role with the Moose and really contribute there and continue to try and round my game up.
And I guess that's, I mean, again, obviously getting to the pros and becoming an everyday NHLer is the motivation for every hockey player who's playing pro hockey. But having had that taste, that gives you that kind of further incentive, right? You want to get back there. Again, there's nothing like Pascal Vincent, the old head coach of the Moose, used to say, like, there's nothing wrong with playing in the AHL, but you want those guys to be hungry. You want guys not to be happy to be playing in the AHL because you want them to be, you don't want them to be sour when they're in the AHL, like you just talked about. But the idea is you want that guy to be motivated to be like, I need to be in the NHL. I deserve to be in the NHL. I will be in the NHL.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's yeah, it's a bit of a dynamic where you always want more for yourself, and you always want to be striving to make those leaps, and yeah, just kind of continues to be a motivator. And I think, just again, making the most of every day is kind of how you'll make those jumps.
And how is it that you guys can stay cohesive as a group? Because you're all competing really for that opportunity. And yet, because it's funny, hockey's a funny game, right? You got a team, you're the ultimate team sport. You need each other to be battling in the trenches to help each other succeed. And yet, you're all wanting that very limited role at the next level. And yet, it doesn't seem like you guys covet if Dominic Toninato gets the recall. It's not like Jeff Malott is like, grumbling. Like you might be internally going, okay, I'm going to work hard, but it just seems like you guys are all motivated but happy for each other's success, even though you're competing for the same spots.
Yeah, I think I talked about this maybe a season or two ago in the exit availability I had with you. And it was after a year where a lot of guys were getting opportunities, a lot of guys were getting called up. And in the moment, you don't know if you're going to get that opportunity later in the season or anything. And you ask the same thing. How are guys so pumped up for each other when ultimately you want that call up for yourself? And I think it really came down to guys recognizing that call up doesn't happen without the teammates' impact on your career during that season. So, yeah, as much as you might see a guy get called up and think, oh man, like I got to work hard. If I want that to me, I got to be me. I got to work harder, or I got to, make those strides. But at the same time, that guy getting called up is reflecting and looking around and thinking, man, like this doesn't really happen without these teammates that aren't getting the opportunity. And I think that's what allows guys to be happy for each other is because everybody knows the work that goes into it. Everybody knows how deserving each guy is of that call up and that opportunity. And I think that same attitude is what keeps guys hungry and makes guys want to make those jumps as well.
Well, you're entering the final year of your contract with the Jets. Does that play a role in your mindset at all, or do you just kind of have to leave that to your agent and just say, listen, I'm here to play hockey. I'm not worried about my contract status.
Yeah, it's hard not to think about, but it really is just that. It's just there's only one thing that's going to impact next season, the following season after this year, and that's how I play. So I don't think I'm going to change anything drastically, and just try and bring that effort and that compete level, and try and have another great season.
So it's safe to say nothing has taken place at this point for next year.
Oh no.
Okay. And so, like, how soon after the season would end, and after you talk about those exit meetings, how soon after that do you start to think about training again?
I mean, it all kind of, I guess, depends on the year. How deep did you go? How many games you played? How much wear and tear did you put on the body? But usually, I mean, each guy's different, but usually guys get a little stir crazy. So I think guys will gradually get back into that off season training, whether it's in high intensity or if it's just getting active and getting moving again. And after you've given your body a little bit of time to heal and recuperate, just get back into the swing of things. We'll fly there. Yeah, I don't know. Everybody's different, but I'm usually like 2 weeks, maybe a week, and then kind of just start getting active again, and then ramp it back up in the gym and on the ice.
Did you take any holidays?
I went. I had a couple of the guys from the season up to my parents' cottage for a week,
Oh,
and
nice.
then we hung out there. Yeah, that was. We've done that 2 years in a row
I was gonna
now.
say you did that. You guys did that last year, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
My invite
Yeah.
somehow my invite got lost in the mail.
It's a convoy heading back that way. So if you wanna hop on the Trans Canada with us, you're more than welcome to, Dave. Plenty of walleye.
Oh, that's
Um,
good.
but yeah, that was my vacation. Couple weddings to make a trip out to and see some guys from school. So that's about it.
Keeps you busy. But speaking of when you get to that training, what were the areas that, during those exit meetings you have with the Jets, Moose, Brass, what were the areas that kind of said, Jeff, this is what we're thinking for you for next year. We need you to kind of, you talk about consistency. What areas were they talking to you about in terms of improvement for you?
Yeah, just being able to utilize speed and being able to fire at a high rate for a long period of time and really build up that tank. Continue to develop a good foundation of strength and durability, and yeah, be ready to kind of contribute in any fashion.
Do you hear from the team during the summer? Like, do you touch base with any of the guys, or is it more just kind of you're left to your own devices because you are a pro and you know do your own thing?
Yeah, a bit of both. I mean, I think the older you get, the less you hear from guys once you figure out kind of a strong system. But yeah, definitely some check-ins still. I was on a call with the Moose staff this week, actually, just hashing out everything for training camp and making sure we're ready and everything. But yeah, I think at least for me personally, the longer I've played, the less I feel they need to check in, and yeah, pretty standard over the course of the summer. Just a couple check-ins and see how things are going. Make sure you're on the right path.
Well, I know there's about 10,000 pro hockey players in the area that you live in. So, did you train with any of the Jets or the Moose during the summer?
Actually, no current, but Covey and I, Jonathan Kovacevic and I,
Yep.
have remained quite close since he got picked up by the Canadians. But yeah, Covey and I have done some cross training. We've done some boxing and jiu-jitsu stuff, just kind of tagging along with my older brother, and that started after we went out to Vancouver to watch my brother's fight in June. So we
Mhm.
kind of got bit by the bug there, and wanted to basically just use those sessions throughout the week as an excuse to hang out and catch up and stay tight.
Well, I was going to actually next segment, I was going to go to your brother, but I'm going to segue quickly because we got to talk about Johnny and his success in Montreal. We talk about, needing how everybody gets excited to see these guys have that success. And he's a guy who a lot of folks who watch the Moose had a feeling he could play at that NHL level if given the opportunity. He's shown it with Montreal. I mean, again, I can't pretend like I watched all of his games. I did see him take a shootout against Eric Comrie, which I thought was rather
Yeah,
entertaining. I liked, actually, I don't know if you probably saw it, but I saw the announcers like, I don't know if these two would be familiar with each other. I'm like, I think they're kind of familiar with each
yeah.
other. I think they know each other just a little bit. But I mean, how happy are you for the success he's found playing with on that right side with the Montreal Canadiens?
Yeah, that's a guy who's worked for every single opportunity he's gotten. He's a real close friend, and it's really satisfying to see him earn that opportunity and do so well with it. He's so he has so much. He's so deliberate in everything he does with his training, and he really takes a lot of time to reflect and think about areas that he can improve on or areas that make him effective, and it's really been awesome to be a part of his development and witness that journey, because it's no accident or it's no coincidence. It really is a byproduct of the effort and the intent that he puts into his schedule and his commitment to getting better. And it's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun watching him.
And it's, I think, and I often say this, and I don't think I'm speaking out of school. I think it's a testament to what opportunity can do for a player, right? A lot of times people pigeonhole you and say, "Oh, this guy's ceiling is X," and 90% of those people haven't watched these guys play in the first place. But the fact is, the right opportunity and a guy like Johnny Kovacevic, a guy like Mikey Esimont, a guy like Jeff Malott gets that opportunity, and then he sees it, and then they become everyday NHLers.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Mikey's the exact same story where guys just really don't get discouraged and just keep working hard and kind of yeah, wait for that opportunity and make the most of it.
Well, okay, we talked about your brother Mike. I, of course, is a rising star in the UFC. Maybe he's a star in the UFC. I'm not going to pretend to be a UFC expert, Jeff. That's not my area. But the folks, I was looking at hockeyfights.com, had you in 4 fights this season. So my question was, does Mike watch those fights on video and give you tips and critique your efforts in those fights?
Yeah, yeah, he's a pretty good resource. I don't like the transferability of it all is it's not crazy, but it's definitely something to think about, and he does a great job of, just giving tips and kind of guiding me in the right direction. And he's always kind of the first one I talk to about things like that, obviously. But I think more so he just loves the excitement that hockey brings, and the ability to kind of settle disputes on the ice
Mm.
and be able to be gentlemen after and continue playing. Yeah, he loves the aspect of fighting in the game. So it's cool to watch those over with him after and see what he has to say.
And I mean, obviously, I was kidding somewhat about that, but I know how proud you guys are of each other. You're proud of his success, and he is proud of your success. And I think it was you jumping up and down in the video when he won UFC 289. I think that looked like you in a Canada jersey. Quite excited, jumping up for Mike's win. But how nice is it to have him, in the ring, sorry, in your ring, not literally, of course, but and you similarly for him, because not many people have that sort of resource where, hey, you guys are both professionals, and yet you're cheering each other on, but you're also each other's sounding boards.
Yeah, it's been way too cool. Like I said, he's the first guy I talk to when there's anything I'm thinking about or any decision I'm making or anything that's running in my mind. He's the first guy I reach out to and just kind of mull it over with. And it's awesome because as different as our sports are, the preparation, the development, the emphasis on consistency, it's all the same. Like it really is we talk about it all the time. It's just the power of consistency and making sure that you're making the most of every single day. And when you have somebody, when you come home or when we catch up over, if we see each other throughout the week, it's motivation because I know how hard he's working and I know the results he's getting, and he knows how hard I work and the results that I've gotten in the past. And we have so much respect for the commitment that each other have. And it really does, it breeds success and it makes us both so much better at what we do.
And you, of course, have a province behind you. He's got a country behind him. So what is that like I'm not asking you to speak for him, but just from a sibling's perspective, to see what it's like when he gets to, have the mantle of representing Canada in these bouts?
Yeah, he really is carrying the torch for Canada. Like it's so cool to see. And he's done such a great job of shining a light on how incredible training in Canada's become. And he really does have an amazing team here out of Niagara, out of Hamilton, out of Burlington. He's got so many great coaches and teammates that are all pushing each other to get better. And it's awesome to see all of Canada get behind him. Like especially being in Vancouver, and I couldn't walk around without people being like, you gotta be family. You gotta be something. Like, how do you look exactly like him? Like, how do you, and people were taking pictures with my dad, like being like, this is Mike Malot's dad. Like, come on. And he's like, what is going on here? Like, it
Yeah.
was so cool to see just how bought in everybody was and how much Mike loves repping Canada. The feeling really, really seemed to be mutual in that moment and has continued to, because yeah, he really had the support of all of Canada for that fight, and I think everybody's bought in on him really leading the way for Canadian MMA.
Well, we wish him all the best and all the success in his endeavors. Because again, I can't say that I'm a big, MMA guy, but like I said, it's always impressive to see the support he gets from folks, and that he gives to you and that you give to him. Okay, plans for the rest of the summer. We already talked about this. Not a lot of summer left, but what do you have on the schedule for the next couple of weeks, I guess, before you come back to Winnipeg?
Honestly, kind of, it cleared the schedule. Just getting ready. Like skates are ramping up and taking care of my time in the gym, and then pack things up and get ready to do the drive back out. Only about 2 more weeks in town here, and so I'll just try my best to see everybody and make sure everything's good to go before I head back.
Okay, and then last question is goal setting. Are you a big goal setter? And do you have again, I'm not asking for the specifics, but do you have goals in mind for the 23-24 campaign?
Yeah, I think I got some broad goals set in place, and things I want to accomplish here, and things that I want to continue to get better on. And yeah, I think that's important to not only keep perspective but also keep some motivation. And yeah, I'm just looking to show up and have a great camp, compete, and show exactly what I'm capable of, and have another great year wherever that is.
All right, Jeff, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot for joining us here on the Illegal Curve Summer Series. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks when you're back in Winnipeg.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.